So, hello again. Let's try to finish this crossfade thing. We start in the previous two streams. At this point, we are doing the crossfades and the stop and play automatically in the animations. What I'm not sure yet is how am I going to speed up this 1 second animation to actually have the size of the crossfade I need. But that's a future problem. At this point, I will program everything with 1 second. So last stream, before closing up the stream, I actually tried the stop and the play directly in the animator, so I don't actually have to deal with anything. I just need to call the animations and that's it. So crossfade AB. Crossfade AB is the crossfade that goes play on, it does a play on the A player and does a stop at the end. Sorry, it does a stop at the end of the A player and does a play in the beginning of the B player. So this volume starts to go up, this is already playing, this volume goes down and stops the player there. So now we need to do the opposites on this one. So volume BA means the B goes out, it needs to stop here. Player B. Stopped. And player A starts to play at this point, so keyframe. So we have play and we have stop. And the other one is the opposite. Exactly. Only A plays this one, stop this one in the beginning. Only B is the opposite. I'm not sure if I have I'm not sure if this will not be playing because this is in loop. If it's not actually giving the command play every frame or every time it loops and the music starts from the beginning, but I guess not. So at this point we have audio. Let's put the sound and let's play to see what happens. Nothing happens yet. Play, continue. The music is a little bit too loud. Sorry. So let's put this volume down. Let's cut the music. I cannot yet. I need to stop. So when I remove the key, I need to stop the playing. So this is the engine. Play A, play B, stop. So if it's playing and if I stop, I will stop. At this point, I will just stop both. just to test the thing. Stop. Well, I need to create an animation just for that. So let's do an animation. Let's copy this one, for example. Animation, duplicate, all stop. And all stop will have this. Let's stop, save. So when we stop, we don't do anything like this. We ask the animator to animation player, all stop. This stop comes from the other script, which is the one on the main node, and the stop function is here. Okay, it should work. I guess it was already there. Play, continue. So when I stop, it doesn't restart. I need to make sure all the state variables are, when I stop, this goes false. If it's false, I can play it. We should start again. In this script, everything okay. The other one, if it's playing, okay. I need to enable this one, save. Let's try again. Let's try again. Play, continue. Let's waste all fuel, see what happens. The best way to waste all fuel is to turn on the main engine. No fuel, no sound. Okay. Now let's start to detect the end of the loop. Hello. Let's try to detect the end of the loop to do whatever we need to do. Where do I do that? What's happening is that I'm trying to select grain. Select grain is already done. But I had here some comments yesterday. Stop the players with an animation keyframe. This is done. Check if the animator is playing A and B to set the correct animator. Okay. And calculate that to a variable so you can set A or B. So at this point I'm using hard-coded numbers, and it needs to be a variable because it depends on which player is playing. So start duration, it's not a start duration. So what is the problem that I need to solve first? No, it doesn't loop yet. Well, it actually loops, but it's inside the same player. So we can hear the thing. Let's go line by line and see what happens so we can find something to solve. Player A, animation plays only A. And at the same time, is playing equals false. No. No. Okay, play. Oh, these are the internal. I need to comment this before I forget. Internal play commands. Whoop. So when I ask to play, I'm actually asking the animation to play the animation only A. Why? Because I'm lazy, and I add to the animations the commands to stop and to play, so I don't have to do that in code. So I just need to trigger these animations, and I have all stop, no sound, crossfade AB, crossfade BA, only A, and only B. I guess I will not need the only B, but at least we need to start with something, and the only A needs to exist. So when I press the key, this script sends the play command to this engine sound player, and this play, this is the external command, external, checks if it's not playing, and if it's not playing, starts to play by calling player A, play A, and immediately prepares the next grain. Play A is calling for that animation that starts the player 1 and stops the player 2, and the other command, which is select grain, is this. This select grain will create a variable and will calculate the size of the grain and will randomly select the position inside the grain. Let's recap the drawing. So it will select one of these blue spots over here. Now we have this thing. If is the player A that is playing, it will send these numbers to the player B. So the player B is ready to start. If it's the player B that is playing, it sends the seek position to the player A, so it's ready to start. And setups this next animation variable with the correct name of the next animation. So we just need to detect now. So let's go here. We are playing one of the players, and we already set up the next player, and we also already set up the next command to the players, here or here. So now we just need to detect when we reach the point to trigger the next crossfade. In the beginning, the first triggering is at the end of the start duration, but after that it's not anymore. So we need to have like a state machine to detect if we are playing the beginning, if we are looping, or if we are ending. How can we do that? Maybe a variable, maybe let's keep it readable at this point. So it will be a string, so I can write any word, and it will be called current state. Current state equals stop. When we play for the first time, current state will be start. And if the current state is start, this will happen. If it's not start, another thing needs to happen. So maybe you can implement the thing in this if statement. So if audio player A is in the position blah 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 blah, but this only happens when it's starting. So if current state equals to start and that thing, it will play the next animation. I'm not sure why I need this. Is fading is being used where? It's being used nowhere. I guess this is fading belonged to the previous way of solving the problem. So let's comment the thing and see if I don't destroy the behavior. So if it's starting and if I reach the end of the start position, I will play the next animation. Next animation was set up according to this thing before. But I also need to prepare the next. Oh no, I cannot prepare the next right now. Because at this point, if I play the next animation, it will start to crossfade. So both players will be playing at the same time. I need to wait for the player A to stop, or whatever the player that goes down to stop, to trigger the get, to trigger this, where it is, this function select next grain. So this select next grain needs to happen when the player stops playing. Do I have that? I don't have that anywhere. it will be similar to this one. If player A is playing, it will do the thing for player B or whatever. Well, I need to ask for the next selection of grain when not both players are playing, just one. So it's kind of easy. Other player playing and other player B playing. If both are playing, I will not do that. If just one is playing, I can ask for the next grain. And that could happen in process, so it's every frame checking what's happening. Let's do this here. If this will create another problem, but let's see if it works first and then solve that problem. Audio stream player B playing. Let me just copy paste the thing here before I forget. Okay. And now let's copy paste this one. Paste and paste. So player A and player B. If player A and player B means that this happens when both are playing. How can we do the opposite? Not. Instead of a and, we need a or. If player A is not playing or player B is not playing, it will select the next grain. But we need another state here because it will be selecting the next state every frame while one of the players are not playing. So let's for now make it 30. If has new grain. If not has a new grain. This does not exist. This will be a boolean. Where I put this? Maybe here. Boolean. So it's false if it does not have a new grain. It will select a new grain and set the new grain as true. Paste equals true. And when we start the crossfade, we set this to false because we are already using the grain. So here goes to false. Copy and paste. Not here. This is where I select the grain, not when I crossfade. Where do I crossfade? Where do I crossfade? Well, I crossfade here. Paste. This is when I go from start to loop. We start the next animation. Now we have has a new grain false, so we are using the new grain. And we also change the state. Current state equals loop. So now we need to program the loop function. This only happens in the beginning. I don't need this anymore. Okay. I will delete, I'm not sure. This kind of annoys me here, so maybe I will change this there. So the script ends here, and this goes away, far away. Okay, so now let's comment this. Sets no. Not yet. Sets a new grain, because I can test it. It will not work because I am not playing the second player yet. I need to check if everything is working. So if it doesn't have a grain, it has one now, and it just do that once until the grain is used. This plays the beginning. So now to play the loop, and this is what we're missing, what we are missing to actually test it, is to, if current state equals loop, and something. Here we'll deal with the looping part. I guess I don't need this anymore. But I will not delete it yet. Well, yeah, I will delete this. Undo. This was already working. So now what we need to do is what is in this comment. Check if the animator is playing for A and B and set the correct animation. So what do we need to do inside the loop? We need to wait the end of current player. After that, we need to, when we reach that point, we need to crossfade. After that, crossfade is done. When we crossfade, we prepare the next grain. Prepare the next grain. And that's it. We stay in loop. And we do the same thing again. We wait for the next player to stop. We crossfade A to B or B to A. And we prepare the next grain. And it will run forever. Sounds easy. So wait to the end of current player. To do that, we need to actually know which player is playing. So we need this. Copy, paste. if it's the player A that is playing, we need to look at the time inside this, check the time. Check the time and compare with what? With predicted end. We need to know this number, and this number will be the end of the current grain. We do the other one when this is ready, because just copy and paste and change the names. So we need to know the end of the current grain, and the current grain was set up. The current grain was set up here. So we have grain start position, and we have grain duration. We just need to sum these two numbers. So grain start position plus grain duration is where the crossfade needs to happen. Grain start position, but the problem is that this float is declared inside this method, so only exists inside this method. Let's copy and let's declare this variable up there, so it exists for everyone and we can access it down here. Let's say grain start position plus grain duration. This is the number that we need to check. How do I know where the player is? The player is at here. So if it's the player A that is playing, we need to see if the player A position it's equal or greater, or the opposite of this number. If it is, it means it reaches the number and we can actually start the loop to crossfade. So crossfade. But I guess it's not this number yet, because the grain duration is the size of the entire rectangle. And we need to start the crossfade a little bit before. So it's start plus grain duration minus the fade ratio. And fade ratio is a percentage of the grain duration, so minus grain duration times ratio, fade ratio. So this will happen first, then this plus this minus this. Okay, now it should work. To crossfade, we just play the next animation. It's already done, it's already prepared. So we just need to play the next animation. I already have that where? Here. Copy. Paste. And this, instead of only A, will be next animation. So if I'm looping, and if it's the player A that is playing, and if the player reached the point where it should start the fade, it will play the next animation, which is already the correct fade. At the end of this, it starts to play the second player, so both players are playing. That means that this is not happening. If both players are playing, so we delete the grain as new grain equals false because we are using the grain. So as grain as new grain equals false, and that's it. We don't do anything else here because this being false means that this will happen as soon as one of the players stop, and it will select the next grain, and the next grain process is already done. So yep, the player B is copy paste this and change the player to B. So player B, and I believe this only happens once. Or is this happening all frames? Yeah, well, oh, we have a problem. I'm seeing a future problem here. Let's say we are checking if the position is greater. Oh no, we don't have a problem because we have two players. So the thing is, if this number is higher, it will trigger the changing. But if the next grain, it's this one, yeah, I'm playing this grain here, and if the next grain is this one, of course the play time will be greater, so it immediately triggers the thing. But yeah, that will not happen because one goes to player A, another goes to player B, and we are checking the play of the player that has the grain, not the other one. So maybe that's not a problem. Let's test and see if it works, because I believe that now we have almost everything we need. Let's remove the full screen so we can see the output window, and if something happens we can actually see. And maybe we need to add, let's remove this, I already delete the prints, yes. Let's print here so we see this happening. I don't know, print A, and here we do print B, just to make sure that this is actually changing. So we should see in the output window A, B, according to the changes. Did I save the script? Yes. So play. Let's see what happens. Let's see if it happens. Continue. Okay, it's changing. When I remove the key, Now it's not doing anything. I'm not having new lines. When I play continuously, it locks. Something is not correct. Play again. So, play. It's always at B. This is weird. So, let's look at the prints. It prints A, then goes A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B every frame. So, something is not correct. I believe that if statement with the OR is not playing, this is not happening as I expected. So both are playing. Player A is not playing. False. Player B is not playing. False. So this does not happen. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, but this selects the grain. The print is where? The print is in the place where we actually change. We actually change the thing. So, I guess the best solution is to delete everything and start again. The best solution is to delete everything and start it again. I'm not sure how you creating the size of the duration of player. It's a fixed time. Yes, it is a fixed time. The duration is a fixed time. The grains always have the same duration. We just randomly select the starting point. I guess get playback position, but this playback position could be higher because the previous grain was in front of it. So if that is the problem, maybe we need to seek the time before we test this, because this will immediately trigger the thing if the number is not the same. But if we do the seek position before, maybe we just do the seek position. We select the next grain only when the player stops. Because at this point I'm doing the select grain immediately after I play the next player. I believe that's the problem. Let me check the logic. So where do I play the thing? Oh wait, I'm forgetting something. So I check the start and then I change to loop. When I'm in looping, okay, yeah. So if I'm in looping and it is the player A that is playing, I will read the time of player A, and if it's higher than the position, the start position plus the grain duration minus the fade time, yeah, this will trigger more than once. this needs to trigger only once. Yeah, it loops. It loops, but only in one player, right? No, it's actually looping in both players. If we look here, if we have B and A, is because they are changing. The problem is it should look like something like this: B, 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 A, 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 because it takes some time, some frames to pass from one to another, and this could not happen. This thing here, A, B, A, B, A, B, this is every frame is changing player, and this cannot happen. This is my problem. But I detected here a problem, so I will solve this problem and see if it solves the thing or not. So player A gets to the point to start the fade and makes the thing start the next animation. So there's no grain anymore, and prints an A. Next frame, the player A that is starting to fade out is still bigger than the grain, than the position to start the fade out. So it will play again the same animation, and it will create a new grain, etc., etc. So this will repeat as many times as the computer can have frames during the time of the frame. And we need to limit this to once. Check the time to compare with, so we need a new variable, another state variable that is ball performing crossfade. If it's performing the crossfade, will not perform the crossfade. That's kind of easy. The frame checks, remove the frame checks. I'm not checking frames. This happens every frame because the game is a game, you know, happens every frame. So I will use this perform. So if it's not perform crossfade and whatever it needs to happen. Why this is not correct? I guess I will put this smaller. It's too much keys to press. So instead of performing crossfade, I will just do crossfading. Fading. If it's crossfading or not. Crossfading. So here we test if it's not crossfading and the time reaches the point to start the crossfading, we crossfade. And the first thing we do is, well, crossfading equals true. We are crossfading. So this will not happen anymore until we reset the crossfading. So we need to detect the end of the crossfading, which is here. When we need to select a new grain, it's because the crossfade ended. So crossfading equals false, and our crossfading true copy goes also to the other player B, and we also need to put this on player B, copy, paste. I guess it will not do this if it's performing the crossfade. So if we still have the problem it's because the problem is here. Because this is the thing responsible to stop the crossfading. And if it stops immediately, it's because this happened immediately. So let's go to Godot, hit play, and see what happens now. Play, continue this level. Weird, it's not printing anything. Oh, A, B, A, B. Oh yeah. So now it's crossfading. We still hear the crossfade. No more fuel. Play level again. Wrong level, whatever. A, B. A, B, B. A, B, B. Okay, it's not yet clean, but it's kind of working. It's kind of working. Let's clear. Start from the beginning instead of replaying. Because that could be something that stays from the restarting. Is looping at the A. Okay, let's restart the level. Weird. Sometimes it goes twice, other times it doesn't go twice. Why? Why? I guess this is happening because we are doing something like this. Well, we give the command to happen something and immediately after we set the variable. So maybe in the next loop this command was not activated yet. And sometimes it happens, other times it doesn't happen because of the time of the frame. We are not in the fixed, well, we could be in the fixed process instead of the process happens every frame. If the computer can do 300 frames per second, it will happen 300 frames, 300 times per second. But maybe we don't need to be so fast in this case, and we can fix this speed. There is something called physics process. I have this in the ship. Where is the where is yes, physics process. So let's try to use copy a physics process instead of the process, because this will not happen as often as the other. So maybe we can gain precision with that. And it is exactly why the physics process exists, to give precision in terms of math. Because we are no longer calculating tiny numbers. That happens like 60 frames per second or 30 frames per second. So much slower, very predictable, and accurate in timing. So let's see. First time doesn't print. Let go the key, press down. It does not print anymore. Why? It doesn't like to have the physics process inside a node that is not a physics node. Why not? Is this the problem? Not very. I don't like it. I don't like it. Anyway, this whole exercise was just for me to understand the process, what needs to happen and why. So now it's time to delete everything and actually do it properly. That's the funny part of programming. We program to delete everything at the end. And in the next version we find new problems. And then we delete everything again and start over. Super funny. Extremely funny. So I'll try to do a different thing. I will have a player state that is responsible for checking its own player real time and send information about the state of the player. So instead of checking if the player is playing multiple times throughout the script, I guess it's better to check if the player is playing in the beginning of the frame, or if it's not playing or whatever. And that checking will change a variable, and we use the variable, so the variable is always the same through the entire, because here is playing, but maybe here is no longer playing because the sound ends, and then probably that's not the main problem I have right now. Oh, wait, I need to do something before. Yeah, this player A, player only A is only for the beginning. Crossfade. Where do I use the next animation? Next animation. If the state is start, goes next. If it's looping, goes next. Oh, I found the problem. Else if. Because if this is playing and this is happening, and the next animation will be playing player B, this will be true in the same frame. Let's see if this solved that problem of repeating the transitions. No, it's the same. Sometimes it's double, other times it's single. Not very accurate. So let's improve this by doing what I was told, what I was explaining. So in the beginning of the process, we will check the numbers and the state of every player. And we put those informations into variables, and then we use the variables to control the logic. That makes more sense. So we actually need 4 variables to do that. We need a boolean for player A is playing. You really want that granular loop to work, but isn't simpler to have a sound player with some fix to simulate what you want? The problem is not selecting the the loop. The problem is looping. So even if it's a fixed, the grain is, it's done. I'm pretty sure the grain is done. Let's make sure, but I'm pretty sure the grain is done. I will print the grain. So every time it loops, it needs to change the grain. And let's see, where is the grain? It's here. Select next grain. So we select the next grain, blah 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 blah. All the math at the end of this, we will print yeah, the problem could be there, but I believe it's not there. Start grain position, copy, paste. So we should have a number. Every time we select a new grain, we have a new number. Save. And we can actually do some math to make sure the number is inside what we need. So the number should be greater than 2. Needs to be greater than 2 seconds, and it needs to be lower. No, I cannot do this. I'm being stupid. Of course this is not working. So start duration, let me look at the sound again. Where is the sound? It's here. Start duration needs to be here. This is 0.5. 0.5. Start duration 0.5. I talked this at the end of the yesterday's stream. If these numbers are bigger than the possible, it will break apart. So maybe the problem is these numbers. End of loop is here. So 2.22. End of loop is 2.22 or 2.2. Okay. Grain duration cannot be so big. So, or yeah, it can. 0.4 is like, okay, maybe this was the problem. It was starting really next to the end. It was completely stupid, this idea. Okay, let's see if this solved the problem. Okay, enter. That solves some problem, because now it starts from the beginning. Let's play the game again. Before I change the number, when I play, if I play continuously forever, nothing happened unless I release the key and start again. I don't know why, but now it's not happening that. Or yeah, it's happening. Yes, it's happening. But you see, you have different numbers. So every time selects a new grain, yeah, it's selecting the grain. That's not a problem. Having a fixed or having a non-fixed number that's not the problem, because it's actually greater than 0.4 and always lower than 2.0. Yeah, no, that's not a problem. Let's redo the script. Oh. So this is working okay. This part is the only part that is actually working normally, as expected. So in the beginning of the frame, here, let's check. Oh yeah, let's go back a little bit. We need the variables. So is player A is playing, boolean player A time. And now let's duplicate this and do the same for player B. Player B, save. So player A is playing, player B and player A time. Okay. In the beginning of the frame, we check the players. So player A time is equal to this number. Player A time needs to be a float. Come on. The number is not true or false. Float. And player B will be copy paste. It's the same process. Now, I forgot the names. Player A is playing. Player A is playing equals to player A playing, paste, and same thing for player B. So now in the beginning of the frame we have these numbers and they will not change until we are in the next frame. I guess if we check the thing here and eventually during the process the player ends and we'll check the same thing here, it will give different results. But with this, the results are there. And only reset those results in the next frame. So we can actually perform everything before we have to read this again. Now, if the player A is not playing, we set a new grain. Or if the player A stops playing, it sets a new grain. And if the player B stops playing, it sets a new grain. That's rule. Every time that happens, we need a new grain. I'm not seeing any situation where the player stops without we need a new grain. So let's do that. If the player is not playing, but it was playing in the previous frame, so we also need old states. Let's do this differently. I will change these names. Fine. Let's change this name to Player A state change all, and player B to player B state. Okay, so now we duplicate this, copy, paste, and this will be old state. And we can check the transition only, because if old is different from current, it's because we changed. If it's not, it's because it's the same. So at the end of the frame, which is here, we say player A old state it's equal to player A state. So at the end of the frame, the current state will be saved in the old state, and when the frame starts again, that was the old state, it was the previous frame state. Let's do the same thing for player B, and now we know if there is a transition. How do we know that if there is a transition? Okay, it's here. We know there's a transition if we compare both of them. If they are different, there was a transition. So if player A old state is different from player A state, means that the state changed, and now we can test other stuff. And player state is false. I will put like this for readability. Yeah, I'll put that like this for readability. So we need a new grain here, new grain, and to set a new grain is this code. Yes, if it doesn't have a new grain, because it doesn't, but now we don't need to do this anymore. This was to prevent this happening every frame. This is no longer happening at every frame because we are checking only the transitions. So we can actually just do this. Copy, paste. Old state, the player was playing and is no longer playing. So this is different? Yes. And the player is false, it stopped playing? Yes. So select a new grain. This doesn't matter anymore. And start the crossfading. Start the crossfading? No, it stopped the crossfading. So crossfading false. Yeah. Let's do the same for the other player. So if player B old state is different from player B state, and player B is no longer playing, bye bye, see you. If you need to go, you go. Crossfading equals false, and we select a new grain. Let's remove this part because we don't need this part anymore. Sets a new grain is now this code. Oop. And let's test if something changed. Let's see if it works. It's not working. Well, I didn't remove the old solution entirely, so let's check if this is actually not interfering with what I have. Because if I'm doing this, I will use this in everything. Player A time. Every time I need to check time, I will use the variable, not this. Paste. Get position, paste. And that's it. So now let's do for the player B. Paste. Okay, this is the starting. Start always starts with player A. I'm not sure if always starts with player A. Player start play A, select next screen. Yeah, it starts with player A every time. Okay, so now player A state, if it's playing or not, copy. Let's use this instead of paste. Undo. Wait the end of current player. If it's playing, check the time. Paste. If it's check the end, wait the end, I don't need to do this. Well, I need to do this. Yes, I need to do this. Player state, and here the B. Player B state. Save. So I only check the players once in the beginning of the frame. It doesn't do that anymore. Let's just make sure it only happens here, and it only happens where do I do select next grain? I do here, so I should use the play state if it's playing, so should be this one. Paste, and here is the same but for B. Let's see if the problem disappeared. So now I'm only checking once the player's states and times in the beginning of each frame, not multiple times during the frame. But no, it's not looping. It's not working. It's not working. Maybe the problem is the state. This current state looping. Where do I change this? I change this at the end of the starting time. Let's make sure this is happening. Print end of start. Save, play. This can only happen once. End of strat, whatever, but it doesn't happen anymore. Okay. Oh yes, it happens again. So maybe this is the problem. Well, no. Every time I release the key, the sound stops. So when I press the key again, it starts from the beginning. So yes, it should happen again, but only when I release the key and press again. Let's see. Now it was immediate. It doesn't happen anymore. Let's release. Let's play again. Yes, happened once only. It's not looping, but only happens after I restart. Okay. So that's good. If the current state is starts and the playtime player at a time, it's higher than the start duration minus whatever those numbers is, and it's not fading. Oh, I need the fading. I delete the fading somewhere. It's here. I need the fading. Fading is true, so this will not happen again until we end the fade, and the fade is crossfading true. Where do I have this fading? So this needs to go false somewhere. Goes true when I'm fading and goes false never. It never goes false. So maybe I need to go false. It's no longer fading when I need a new grain. So every time I ask for a grain, I'm not fading. So inside the grain, could be inside the grain, could be at this point, because we select the grain here. And let's say, yeah, crossfading is false. I guess we can use this crossfading variable instead of the other one. And it's not crossfading. And it's not crossfading equals true. And we set that to false. Where? Yeah, crossfading every time we start. But it goes false when we need to get a new grain. Okay, let's go to Godot and see if the problem disappeared. I'm probably overcomplicating the thing, but end of strat, release, play. Okay, it's not crossfading, and it's not selecting new. Now I have no fuel. So it selects a grain before ending the thing. Let's see if that checks out. Let's see if that checks out. Let's start from the beginning. Player A, current state start, okay, and select the grain. Select grain is this thing over here. If the player is playing, is the player playing in the beginning? No, it's not. That's why it doesn't do the first time. It actually says play, but it's not playing, because this will happen at the end of the frame, and in the beginning of the frame we have it at false. Let's make sure. Let's fake the thing here. Player A state equals true. Let's force a true state here and see what happens. Play, continue, play level. Yeah, now it's changing. It was that. Oh, it was that. Now it's working. A, B, and B, A, B, A, B. Well, now I have no more fuel, so it should have stopped, but it was working all the time. I was just not reading correct the state of the first. So now we have continuous thruster sound. Sometimes the fade goes down. Maybe the fade time is not set up correctly. Now let's put another level where we can actually do many things. And we are not yet using the end of the sound, we are just using the beginning and looping. So it actually sounds okay. I guess I will put the sound a little bit stronger so we can hear it better. If it's too loud, tell me. Continue, play. Yeah, we have a loop, but we don't have a recognizable loop because it's actually finding different places inside the loop. Nice. Let's do something which is grain duration. Let's put 0.1 to see what happens. This will be super fast, so the grains are super small, and maybe it will sound more robotic, let's say. Play, continue. Strangely, I guess it is not working, because it should be selecting a lot of grains super fast, and it's not actually doing it. So maybe I'm calculating wrong the end of the loop. Or I'm checking if the player already reached that point. Player A time, this happens here. So if, and it's not the start, is in the loop zone. Okay, I'm looping. Nice. If the player A is playing, and if it's not crossfading, let's change this here. It doesn't, I guess it doesn't change anything in terms of behavior, but it's easier for me to understand. So if the player A is playing and it's not crossfading, let's check the crossfade point. If player A time is greater than the grain, oh, but this grain start position will change. That's why it's not working. Because as soon as I check the as soon as I finish the previous frame, this will select a new grain and this number will change. So instead of the grain start position plus whatever, let's set this number to a variable, a fixed variable that only belongs to the player A, and do the same for the player B. So when we select the next grain, we assign this to that variable. So the grain selection is here. We have here the number, and if it's player A that is actually playing, we will prepare the player B and we will set up the end position of the player B. So this will be grain and B is equal to that. So it's the grain position plus the grain duration minus whatever the time of the fade we need, and this will be the next grain B. We need to actually create these variables. Where are the grains? The grains are here, so float grain end A and grain end B. Whoop. That's it. Copy, paste. So, and this is A. So now down here, when we check the end of the grain, instead of checking probably the wrong number, we will check the correct number. which is grain end A and grain end B. Paste. We don't need the crossfading again because we already have this in the parent if statement. Or not. Player A state. Okay, player B state. This needs to go there. Let's remove this from here. So this checks if the player can crossfade and is playing, and this will check the time. Different places. Okay. So wait the let's what this do is wait. No, this is not correct. Check the time and compare with the predicted end. This makes sense. Time. But here we are not doing. Here is more like make sure we have no. I will not put anything because it's too much abstract what I was writing. Let's see if the behavior changed. Play, continue, next level. Is changing the player A and B. Okay. Solid. But not as fast as I was expecting. Because if the grain size is 0.1, this should happen 10 times per second. I believe it's not detecting the end of the thing. So let's print stuff. This is printing, this is okay. If the state is loop, we change to loop. Yes, after the end, we change to loop. If we are looping, we are inside this part over here. Inside this part, we test if the player A state is true, so it's playing, and it's not crossfading. Where is the crossfading? Crossfading equals true when it starts to crossfade from player A from start to loop. But as soon as this starts, yeah, this is working because the A and B, it's actually switching. So crossfading equals true. It starts the crossfade because we ask for the next animation, and here is the crossfade. So it starts, we set it as crossfading, and where this goes false, where do we detect the end of the first crossfade? Never. Crossfade goes true, goes true, goes true, and it never goes false. Well, maybe that's the problem. Yeah, but this happens. So, for this to happen, this needs to be false. Crossfading equals false. Okay, it happens inside the new grain. Okay, so it's going false when we ask for a new grain, because we can only ask for a new grain at the end of the crossfade. We stop the player because we crossfade, and the stopping command is inside the animation player. So if we crossfade, we stop one player at the end, so it goes out. And the other one, okay, this is correct. So by playing the next animation, we are actually stopping the previous player automatically. But now so crossfade equals true is crossfading at this point. I'm looping, the player is playing, and I'm not crossfading. Yes, okay, I'm playing. I reached the point. The player A reached the point where it should start crossfading. Okay. So because it starts crossfading, it signals the crossfading variable to true, so this will not happen anymore until it ends. It will trigger the play next animation, which is the crossfade. It signals that doesn't have a new grain because we are actually using the grain, and prints this in the console. This will not work because it's an else if, and this is working. And that's it. The crossfade ends. When the crossfade ends, it stops the other player. When it stops the other player, in the beginning of the frame, player whatever, it's false. Player state is false. So if player, it was true because it was playing, now it's false. So if the player old state that was true in the previous frame is different from false that is now in this frame, this is true, and the player state is false. So if the player is stopped and it was not stopped before, select a new grain. And set the crossfade to false, so we can actually do the crossfade again. So the player player A is playing normally, and player B is ready to start the next grain, and the crossfade is ready to start. I don't know. I don't see the bug. I don't see the bug. When I remove the key, I'll receive this stop if it's playing. Do I use this anywhere else? Okay, here. Okay, if I play it, this is true. If I'm not, if it's playing, it goes false. And play the all stop animation that has both commands. At this point, all stop, stop both. I don't understand why save. I don't understand why this is not working. So start duration is 5 alpha second. The end of loop is 2 seconds. The grain duration 0.1. And the fade ratio is, I guess it cannot be 0.5. 0.4. Let's see. No, and it actually is taking 2 seconds, so no, 1 second. These numbers don't make sense. Let's do grain duration 0.5. So the grain as no, yeah, okay, save. The grain has alpha second. One point 1.1. This is below start duration. The thing is selecting. This cannot be below start duration. So where is the select next grain? This cannot go below start duration. And it doesn't technically start duration. So at least 0. If this randoms a 0, it will be 0 plus start duration. So why does the number goes higher than this? Maybe we need to make sure this happens. Doesn't make sense, but maybe this is the problem. No, 0.3. 0.3. And my start duration is 0.5. So this 0.3 doesn't make sense. Grain start duration. Let me check if I'm actually saying grain start duration. I have here 0.2. This don't make sense because how? Grain start duration or grain start position is equal to grain start duration. Let's do some fake math. This is equal to 0.5 plus random. Let's say the random gave us a 0, so it's the minimum value possible. 0 times whatever is in front will be 0 times end of loop whatever is 2.2 or not important. This will be 0. So 0.5 plus 0. Oh, okay. Okay. After all, the computer is right. Start duration will be less than 0.5 because I'm subtracting the start duration. It's not start duration. I want to, come on. I want to subtract the time of the frame. The time. No, this is the start point. Why am I subtracting here? Let's say I did this yesterday and it checks out, so minus 0.5. So 0.5 plus 0 minus 0.5 will be 0. This cannot happen. This cannot happen. I'm pretty sure that this minus here. Let's do the opposite. Oh, the problem is in the other direction. So if the random gives me a 1, 1 times 1 is 1. So 0.5 plus, let's say 1 is the limit, is actually the end of the file. 0.5 plus 1 will be 1.5, and minus 0.5 will return it to 1. So it doesn't go above the limit of the file. That's why we are subtracting it. But we need to offset to avoid the beginning. We need to offset to avoid the beginning, and I guess let's close it here and see what happens. If I don't have the subtraction, I will have problems at the end of the file, not in the beginning. This is a tough thing to solve, or I'm just too tired to think. Let's go. So now it cannot go above 0. Now it cannot go above 2.2 minus 0.5. 0.2 minus 0.5, because the grain has 0.5 and needs to happen, the start needs to be 0.5 before the end of the loop. So 1.7. Do I have? Yes, I have. So sometimes we are dumb, just dumb. Let's just scale this number from 0 to 1. This gives us a 0 to 1. Let's just scale it to the size of the possible window. What is the possible window? The possible window is start duration this is the minimum number, cannot go lower than this, and cannot go higher than the end of loop minus the grain duration. So in this case is 2.2 minus 0.5. This will be 1.7. So this thing needs to be between these two numbers. .7. If this was 0, it would be 1.7 because so 1.7 minus 0.5, 1.2. So from here to there, it's 1.2 of size. This is the size of this window. So now how do I get this number? And I just multiply this by that number. And that's it. So start grain position equals to random. Let's do another one so I don't destroy this one. Paste. Let's comment this one. So what I want is this number, the random multiplied by the size of the window. The size of the window, it's calculated by, so is the random times, and now we need to calculate the size of the window here. The size of the window, let's do the thing. It's end of loop minus grain duration. Okay. This is this number. And now we do this number minus that number. Minus start duration. And everything needs to happen before the multiplication. Yes, this needs to happen before that. This, I guess I don't need to have end of loop minus grain duration minus start duration. Okay, we don't need these parentheses here. End of loop 2.2. Let's make sure. 2.2 minus grain duration minus 0.5 minus start duration, which is also 0.5 minus 0.5 1.2. So random times 1.2 will give me the position. If this is 0, 0 times, oh, it will give me a 0. Yeah, but now we need to everything plus the start duration. This is almost what I have. I just had this outside of the parentheses. Yeah, we need to offset because this will be 0. But 0 cannot be. Copy. Yeah, this actually needs to be there before copy paste. Yes. This plus this. Okay, it's a little bit different. Before I didn't have, let's remove this thing. Before, the start duration was outside of this parenthesis. So this multiplication was happening before this subtraction, and that's why we had that problem. Now we actually have the size of the window, and we multiply by the size of the window, and then we had, and then because the multiplications happens first, then we had the offset of the beginning. Continue, play. So never below 0.5, never above 1 point whatever, I don't remember. I will check it in a bit. 1.5. Yeah. We can kind of feel woo, 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 but that problem is the animator. The problem is in the crossfade that this needs to be at the center. Come on. Of course, I totally forgot this. I totally forgot that the crossfade is always 1 second because it's an animation. So now I just need to pick up that number over there, 0 point whatever, calculate how much time it is, and speed up the animation accordingly, because the only thing I can do, it's not defining the duration, it's defining the speed. So if I go number 2 here, the crossfade will be twice as fast, so it will be half the time. So now we have another math problem to solve. If it's 3, it should be around here. 3 times as fast, 3 times as shorter. If it's 4, it would be around here. So this place divided into 4 parts would be 25. If it's 5, it would be 0.2, and so on until we get the number we need. So in this case, If we want a crossfade that has 0.1, we need actually to speed it up 10 times. So I know that, but now how do we tell the computer that number? And this number is fixed, so we solve it in the start. I'm not in Unity. In the ready method, we solve it here. So here we will say animation player dot speed, I guess. Animation player dot speed scale equals to something. How do we calculate that something over there? Can we do the I don't know the name in English of the thing. Let's see. No, it will not work because it's the opposite. If 1 second is one time of speed, 0.1 seconds would be smaller, not higher. So it will not work. We need to divide calculator. What did I do? Calculator. So 0.1 divided by 1. Okay, so we have 0.1. We have our animation has 1 second, so we divide 1 second by the animation. So 1 divided by fade ratio. Fade ratio is grain duration times fade ratio. This grain duration times fade ratio. We actually need to make sure that this happens first, but I guess multiplications always happens first. If we have these two, I'm not sure. So let's make a test. We want our fade to be 2 times faster. Or sorry, we want our fade to be 0.5 seconds, not 0.1 second, 0.5. So if we divide 1 divide for 0.5, we should have 2. Yeah, okay, so this is working. The math is working, and now we have the speed scale according to whatever speed we set up here, or whatever scale we set up here. This ratio is the ratio of the grain duration, so this is 40% of this size. You cannot go higher than 0.5, or else the fade in with cross with a fade out, at least like this. They could be like this, fade ins, play a little bit, and then fade outs. It can be like this, fade in and immediately fade out, but it cannot be like this. So I have to limit this to 0.49 or whatever. But before that, let's play and see if the problem is solved. I have a feeling that is solved. No. So many mistakes. Why? Object reference not set to an instance of an object. Which object? Animation. Oh yeah, of course. Come on, stupid. I need to get the animator first. So this needs to go after we get the animation player. Save, play. Promising, maybe. Something's happening, not pretty, but something's happening. Let's try to understand where is the problem by making numbers 1 second of duration. And let's get this as big as I can, which is 0.49. Save, play. Play, 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 play. Nice. Infinite spray sound with no loopings. No more fuel. Okay. Grain duration 0.8. Let's go smaller. Am I using the grain duration to do the math? Yes. Okay. I don't know if I don't have to times 2 this thing because the crossfade. This is the time of the fade in or the fade out. Oh yeah, they happen at the same time, of course. Let's play again. 0.8. Let's see if it sounds a little bit better. Play, continue, play. I don't know. I need to make the spaceship have more fuel in this level. Where is the program of the missions? Don't remember where they are. Data manager, probably. No. Game session, no. Data manager. I guess not. Save system. Save system. Elements, where are the scripts? They are here. So game events know that the manager, yeah, the levels are here. No, this is the briefings only. This is the briefings. Do I have that in a script, or is inside the level itself? So that one is called orbital turn. No. Station approach. Yeah. Maybe I need to change. Oh, it's directly in each level. Fuel, let's put 50, so never ends. It never ends. Continue play. Do I have 50? No, I don't. Restart. It's no. Oh, I didn't press the enter. Let's try again. Yeah, 50, 50. Okay. So it doesn't sound yet. It's not there yet. But I believe the problem now is the... Where is the spaceship? I believe the problem now is that these crossfades are not drawn as they should be. So crossfade AB, these curves at the center needs to be exactly -3 decibels. -3. If they are not at -3, it will not sound correct. It's a -5, so this should be like this. -3, and the other one, so this goes vertical almost up to 0. And this one goes like this until they cross at the center. -3. So this technically keeps the energy the same. My problem is if the curve is not the correct curve. Maybe it's not the correct curve. Maybe this needs to be a little bit, I'm not sure. So let's test this AB and now BA. Let's do the same. -3. -3. And let's listen. Okay, let's go 0.1 again. Maybe this is too fast for the animator. That's why it wasn't working. Let's see, play, continue, play, play. Yeah, this is too fast for the animator. So maybe the solution is to have not the animator to do this. As I was telling at the end of the first stream, I guess. Grain duration 0.5. Or maybe I can have bigger grains and smaller fades. That could also work. Wrong level, whatever. Yeah. Sometimes it works, other times it doesn't work. Let's try grain duration. The sound is too super small. The problem is that the sound only has 2 seconds, so it's difficult to get a good grain inside it. Let's go 1 second, but or 0.8, but the fade ratio will be 0.1. So 10% of that. If it sounds bad, the problem is the animator, because now we are forcing the animator to be small, but the grain not to be small. So yeah, animator. The problem is the animator. Nothing to do. I cannot do anything to solve this. unless solving the problem without the animator. Yep, I believe the animation adventure was a good adventure, but will not happen. It doesn't sound okay. Okay, say quit. Let's see, do I have the sound of the main engine? I believe, let me check here my folders. The other disk, Unity games. I already have that sound because I already did this game in Unity. Free return trajectory, assets, sounds, metal impact. Not yet. That's a problem. That's another problem. These are recordings. I don't have the main engine. I'm pretty sure this game has sound in the main engine. I'm pretty sure it has. The Unity version has sound in the main engine. Pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. This is the first version of the game I did in. It's actually playable online. It's too loud, sorry. I cannot do anything else. Can I control the volume here? Yeah, this music is more interesting than the one I have now. It's more space among the stars, whatever. Yes, I have the sound. So where is the sound? Where is the sound? Sounds, metal impact. I have 15 metal impacts. Bass, 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 music bass. Oh, it's here. It was hidden. Copy. Thruster loop. Main engine. Copy. Let's go to Godot games. Where is the folder? Sorry, you are not seeing anything because I'm in the other screen. Godot games. Click, 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 click. Sounds, paste. So now we should have here the main engine. Here it is. This sound is not very pretty. Sorry, this is too loud. So this thruster, come on, this thruster sound player. Let's build this, or let's save this as a branch. Element parts. Let's call it sound player engine. Sound player engine sound player. Save. So now this is a engine sound player, and I can use another one for the main engine. So we go here to the elements, engine sound player, and we just drag another one here. So let's change the name to main engine sound player. Save. And now we drag this object there because the thruster is this one, the main engine is this one, and in the script of the ship we just call main engine sound player dot play when we play the sound, when we press the space bar. So where do we press the space bar? Input engine. If input engine different from 0. So it's here. It's not here, but for test will be here. Dot play. And we need to close this if statement. Actually, we need to close it here. Then else, whatever. So now we should have sound in the main engine. I totally forgot something. Nah, but let's see. Yeah, I forgot to change the sound and to give the stop command. Let's finish that and let's go to sleep. Where is the place here? Else paste stop Okay, save. Let's go to Godot. And now in the main engine sound player, we will change the sound to main engine loop. And that's it. What's happening? What? Oh, of course. I changed, come on. Engine sound, nothing. Save. And now on the ship, I put the sounds I want. So this one, main engine needs to have the main engine. The thruster needs to have the thrust sound, the spray sound. Actually, before we go, let's make sure beginning is like 0.1. Oh, this is even smaller. Main engine loop, I thought it was bigger. So 1.45 main engine, end of loop, 1.4. The beginning could be 0.2. And this could be 0.6. And I guess it will be enough. Oh yeah. Now we have sounds. So where is the level? Let's put again only 15 in fuel. And let's play the game a little bit before we end the stream. The sound is not yet as I want, but at least it's already working something. So music, let's set it to full screen and let's save and let's play the thing a little bit and then I go. So yeah, probably I will not stream that. This is the philosophy behind this sound player, and for now it will stay like this. Eventually I will change it, but maybe in the next stream I will do other sounds, because this can work as it is in prototype mode. So whatever. And that's it for today. So see you in the next one, I guess. Probably I will do those other sounds. I'm not forgetting anything. So I don't know if I will stream tomorrow. Probably yes. I need to find the sounds. Yeah. So see you in the future.